Okay, in today's video, we're talking over 30 cool, fun, interesting, and somewhat odd features of the 2023 Ford Explorer ST. Now, before we get started, I do want to extend a huge thank you to Ken Garff, West Valley Ford, for giving me the opportunity to review this Ford Explorer ST for you all today. If you guys are in the market for a new vehicle, make sure you reach out to them and let them know SchwayZ sent you. I'm going to put their information down in the description below. Okay, in no particular order, let's start under the hood. You have a 3-liter twin turbocharged V6 that produces 400 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. That's actually really impressive figures for a 3-row crossover, considering the only thing more powerful than that is a Dodge Durango SRT or Dodge Durango Hellcat. I do find it funny that a car that costs this much at over $60,000 still has a hood prop. Now, this twin turbo V6 is mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission, and it comes standard with rear-wheel drive, but for about $2,000 you can get this with all-wheel drive like this particular vehicle in front of me. Fuel economy is also decent. You're looking at 18 in the city, 24 on the highway for a combined 20. In case you're wondering about 0 to 60, the Explorer ST will do that in about 5.1 seconds. It's pretty amazing. That's like a 90s Ferrari. Okay, now is a good time to pause this video and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date to more videos like this coming your way. Now, the next thing that comes standard on the ST is a quad exhaust system. So you actually get quad exhaust on a 3-row crossover, but there is one really weird thing about this exhaust port. Now, as you may be able to see on the screen, the exhaust doesn't actually exit through the normal place that an exhaust would exit. It's actually underneath this little outlet over here, which is really odd. There's an engineering reason why they did that, but it just looks pretty weird. So you do have a quad exhaust port, but it's kind of a fake one because it just exits underneath the exhaust pipes. So aside from a pretty powerful engine and some weird exhaust ports, what else do you get on the ST trim level? Well, your exterior styling looks a little bit different. You've got the Explorer written over here in black letters. You've got a blacked out grille over here. Looks really nice and sporty with that piano black. You also have an ST badge, and then your headlights are actually a little bit darkened and tinted to make it give it a sportier appearance. You also get LED headlights as standard and LED turn signals. Coming over to the side, you get a little bit more of that piano black trim on the mirror caps. You also have a wraparound windshield because you have a blackened out A-pillar. Down here, you've got a little bit more of that piano black plastic, giving it a sportier appearance in the side seal. You also have a blacked out roof rail, which looks really nice. Take a look at some of this black application on the door handle. And finally, your rear quarter panel window wraps around into the trunk because of the blackened out D-pillar. Blacked out trim doesn't stop there. The Explorer badge over here is completely blacked out, and then you've got black application over here down near the exhaust ports as well. The rear fascia has been updated for the ST. Even these taillights have been tinted to give it a darker, sportier look to the rear end. Overall, I would say this is a pretty sporty looking 3-row crossover and definitely looks a little bit different than your standard Explorer like you see over there. Now, in case you're wondering what color this is the Star White Metallic, and it actually has a really cool metallic spec to it, especially under this lighting. Let's talk wheels and tires. These come standard with a 20-inch wheel, but the vehicle in front of me right now has an upgraded 21-inch wheel setup. They're actually wrapped around 275mm wide tires. You've got Pirelli Scorpion Zero tires. These are all seasons, but they're going to give you a little bit of a sportier feel to it. Now, the reason this vehicle has upgraded 21-inch wheels is because this comes with the ST Street Pack package. That also includes upgraded brakes and these red brake calipers, which give it a really good look overall, especially with the black wheels. Now, the ST isn't just about power under the hood. You also get better handling because the ST comes with a sport tune suspension. You've got larger sway bars, stiffer springs, and all of that combined provides for a more aggressive and responsive driving experience. Now, at the end of the day, this is a crossover SUV, so how much can this actually tow? Well, towing capability isn't bad. You're looking at 5,600 pounds. All right, next, let's jump inside and talk about the interior. It's actually surprisingly really nice. You've got soft touch material all throughout the dashboard. Also, take a look at this door panel, soft touch material here. You also got aluminum bezels for the speaker grills. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Overall, a really nice design to it. Also, I love how the door panel actually molds into the B-pillar. Take a look at that corner over there. Really nice touch in terms of design. Next, let's talk seats. You got ST embroidered into the seat, nice stitching all the way throughout, and I gotta say, sitting in these seats for just a few minutes, they're incredibly comfortable. One of the softest seats I've sat in. They bolster you really well. Definitely really nice for some spirited driving. Also, with just a push of a button, you've got a heated and ventilated seat for both the driver and passenger side. Next, let's talk steering wheel. You've got ST over here at the bottom, and all STs come with a flat bottom steering wheel, giving it a racier appearance. Also, this is a very thick and bolstered steering wheel. Really nice to hold in your hands. Almost feels like a sport car. Almost as thick, if not thicker, than the one in my Challenger. Also, this is a heated steering wheel as well, which is a really nice add-on for cold climates. On the left-hand side is how you control all your cruise control and audio settings, and on the right-hand side is how you control this large 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster display. Really nice display over here, and you can actually adjust what it looks like by pushing these drive mode buttons and it changes the way the display looks. I particularly really like sport mode. Makes it look really sporty and nice. Also, this 12.3-inch screen is something that's not offered on all of the competition like the Chevy Traverse. So if you want something like this, you gotta pick the Explorer. I also really like this fake looking carbon fiber trim because it actually has a little bit of a texture to it. It doesn't just look like a piece of vinyl that they wrapped. It gives a really cool, unique look to the interior, but I kind of wish they included some of that on the door panel or in other places in the vehicle. Like down here, for example, this is just a fake aluminum look to it, but it's actually plastic. You do have a nice compartment over here with some power outlets and a cigarette style outlet, but I kind of wish they included some of that carbon fiber trim over here in the middle instead of this little fake aluminum. Also, not sure if I love this rotary style gear selector. It's pretty easy to get used to, but just kind of odd overall. Now, I briefly touched on this earlier, but you've got 7 different drive modes in the Explorer ST. Everything from eco to snow and sand to trail. Pretty much every single condition you can drive in, this vehicle has a mode for. Now, the next cool feature is this vehicle does come with a wireless charging pad, but it's odd because it doesn't actually fit one of the largest phones on the market. So if you've got a Galaxy S22 Ultra, either take out the case or pick a different vehicle. All right, next let's talk about some of the tech. This is, for me, a controversial area because I don't know if I particularly like this 10.1-inch screen just slapped in here as if it was an afterthought, even though this vehicle was designed well after screens like this started appearing in cars. Anyways, I'll leave that up to you. You've got your typical sync system, which is actually pretty intuitive, very easy to use, lots of different functionality here. Same thing I pretty much have in my Ford Bronco, but this is the upgraded screen. If you choose the base version, you only get an 8-inch screen and it's a horizontal setup, so it looks a little bit more normal on the interior. You do also get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto capability, and you've got 4G LTE Wi-Fi on the interior. Now, speaking of tech, you do have a 360-degree camera, but I really don't get why it's so small. This is a 10.1-inch screen, and you probably only use about 5 inches of this giant display for your 360-degree camera. Nonetheless, it is pretty good quality overall. Let's talk about the speaker setup. You've actually got an upgraded 14-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system in here. It sounds pretty good. It's not the best in the industry, in my opinion, but it's a really decent sound. Now, the next really cool feature on this vehicle is by pushing this button, you will open up its giant panoramic moonroof. It's a really nice touch, and I love seeing these things in more and more vehicles. The nice thing about this one is it actually opens, and I gotta say that pillar is not as large as I've seen on other vehicles, so really nice job from Ford to make it a pretty usable panoramic moonroof. Jumping into the second row, similar story to the first row. Really nice materials on the door, leather wrapped all throughout with some nice injected molded plastic. You also have some really cool contrast stitching. You also have a cup holder in the door and some additional cup holders over here at the bottom. Also, take a look, you do have a manual sunshade, which is nice to have for second row passengers. Jumping inside, let's talk about the seats. Really nice seats, just as nice as the front. I do wish they had ST written over here, but nonetheless, pretty comfortable to sit in. You can either get the Explorer in a 6 or 7 passenger configuration. You can only get 2 seats back here, so the most you could ever fit in an Explorer is 7 people. Unfortunately, some of the competition does offer up to 8 passengers. But that's okay, because back here you have a lot of amenities. You got your own climate control system, you can regulate where the air is going, and you've got heated seats for the second row. Further down, you've got 2 USB ports and a household power outlet, and take a look at these flip out cup holders. I gotta say, if you don't need seating capacity for 7, I'd go for these captain chairs because they look really nice and are very comfortable. You can also easily pass through into the third row. Now, getting into the third row is pretty easy. You just pull on this handle and the entire unit slides forward, giving you pretty easy access into the third row. Now, climbing back here, there really isn't that much legroom. You're gonna need that second row passenger to give you a little bit more space. Nonetheless, not too bad seats over here. They're not as comfortable as the first or second row, but they are leather wrapped, and you do have a little bit of a headrest and some visibility out the sides. Also, you've got some storage compartments back here, you got some tie downs, and you do have cup holders for your third row passengers. Unfortunately, no USB ports or any type of heated seats in the third row like you can get in the Palisade. Coming up here, you do have your climate control vents for the third row, and that is regulated using the little controller knob in the second row. Now, the headroom is actually better than legroom. I've got about 6 inches above my head. I'm about 5'9". Also, I've got a speaker grill located right here, so the sound system is going to be amazing in the third row. Now, getting out of the third row is almost easier than getting in. You just pull on this tab and the whole seat moves forward. Okay, let's take a look at the trunk. You do have an auto lift gate by just kicking underneath the door, but I could never get that to work on any car. So luckily, you've got your remote over here, which is your standard Ford remote. And taking a look at the back, you've actually got about 18 cubic feet of space behind the third row, not too bad. And then you do have a little bit of a storage compartment underneath to store some valuables out of plain sight. Nothing too impressive back here aside from your subwoofer for your Bang & Olufsen sound system. And then over here on the right hand right-hand side, you do have a cigarette-style power outlet. Now, one really cool thing to point out back here is you do have an auto-retractable powered third row. So you can actually lower it. It will lower the headrests as well. And then let's say you don't want to use this 45 cubic feet of space. You want to load some people in the back. Well, you push this one button and it will automatically open. You can open and close them simultaneously or individually using the buttons on the left and right side. That is really nice and not a feature that's offered on all 3-row crossovers. All right, next, this thing actually, whoa, whoa, this thing hauls really quick. That's impressive. Now, I do hear some of that sound being piped in from the speakers. I know that's not coming from the engine or the exhaust because the exhaust doesn't really sound very good. But man, this thing is fun in sport mode. Let's do that one more time real quick. Whoa, that is awesome. That gets to 40 really quick. You know, the other thing I want to note about this car is it handles really, really smooth. I mean, I noticed that in the parking lot. The turning radius is amazing and just really responsive steering wheel. Very nice, thick in the hands, feels really good gripping onto it. Wow, yeah, when that turbo spools up, this thing accelerates really quick. I believe the 5 seconds 0 to 60. I also can't say it's very rough. I know some reviewers said it's really rough on the road. This thing actually drives pretty smooth. Definitely smoother than a lot of other vehicles I've driven in that have a sport tuned suspension. But yeah, if you're looking for a really sporty and nimble 3-row crossover SUV, I don't think you can go wrong with the Explorer. I'm not really sure if the Durango is going to handle as good as this thing. Yeah, that is fun. Man, I love this car. If I needed 3 rows of seats, I'd probably pick the Explorer ST. Let's briefly talk safety features. You of course have blind spot monitoring, pedestrian detection, automatic emergency braking, forward collision warning, rear cross traffic alert, lane departure warning, and lane keep assist. This does come with Ford Copilot 360. Now, every single purchase of a Ford Explorer ST allows you and a friend to join the Ford Performance ST SUV driving experience. Now, all of this can be had starting at $50,005. This particular vehicle in front of me with all of the packages and additions is $62,005. That's really not too bad considering you have a powerful engine under the hood, 3-row crossover, and you've got a near luxury interior. What are your thoughts on the Ford Explorer ST? Let me know down below. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video talking about over 30 cool, fun, and odd features about the Ford Explorer ST. If this is your first time stopping by, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this coming your way. As always, everybody, I hope you stay SchwayZ, stay healthy, have a wonderful day.